After 3 years, the S20 Plus has dropped in price quite a bit. I picked mine up for about £200, and I think for that, you're getting an amazing phone. The S20 Plus has really good specs in 2023. For £200, you're getting 8GB of RAM, 128GB of storage. And this one I have is running the Exynos 990 chipset. The design on the S20 series, in my opinion, is not really a great looking phone. It just looks like a really boring slab. If you get it in a different color, it might look nice, but the black one here is really boring looking in my opinion. So what I've done is I've just gotten myself a case and I'm just going to slap it in there. And now you have a nicer looking phone, I guess you can say. Now the performance on the S20 Plus is good, but I was expecting really good performance, which is a bit more than good. I have noticed some stuttering and some slowdowns here and there. I think I read some reviews on this and I think it might be throttling the CPU when it gets really hot. And I did use it when I was charging it, so it does get a little warm in the hand when using it. So I think it is cutting back on the performance just to not boil itself. If that is the case, then I understand, but that's just not very good. It's not a very good thing, especially being a flagship phone. I did expect more. Now it does have performance, it does have the horsepower, but it just gets really hot, I think, and just slows down a bit, especially when you're charging the phone and using it, which I don't recommend, but whatever. For most things, it's very fast and it's snappy, but I did play some games and it does start stuttering just a little bit every now and then. Let's talk about the best thing about this smartphone, and that is the display on the front. This display is amazing. It's absolutely amazing. So this is a dynamic AMOLED 2X display. It has 120Hz running at a medium resolution, and it is HDR10 plus, and it goes to about 1200 nits, which is very bright. It's a 6.7-inch Super AMOLED display with an aspect ratio of 20:9, and the maximum resolution is 1440 by 3200, which is actually higher than some of the flagship phones Samsung has nowadays, or it's actually on par with them. So it's a really high resolution display. I will mention one thing. If you want to run it at 120Hz, you will have to drop to a medium resolution. You can't tell just a tiny little difference between native resolution, which is 1440p, but if you drop down to 1080p, you do get 120Hz. As far as the smoothness goes, there's a big difference. So between the two, I've picked 120Hz because I want it really smooth. It's very nice. But if you do want if you're okay with 60Hz, you can use 1440p, but to be honest with you, you can't really tell that much of a difference unless you get really up close and then you look for it, and then I mean, yes, there is a difference, but you can't really tell even at 1080p. So it looks very nice. So having 120Hz is, in my opinion, the way to go. As far as ease of use goes, this is a 6.7-inch display, so you can't use this with one hand. The phone is a bit big. The fingerprint sensor is built under the display. It works really well when you actually press down and cover it as much as you can with the fingerprint. Otherwise, when you're using normally, because I just tap it sometimes, it doesn't work at all, and it doesn't work really well with that. The fingerprint sensor on the Google Pixel 4a, which is where I moved from, is quite a lot better. It's a much faster fingerprint sensor, and it's almost like you can just touch it and then it'll just work. This one, you have to really press down and you have to cover it with your fingerprint to get it to work. But that being said, it also has Face ID, and I've enabled that, and I've been using Face ID. I have to say, I'm just going to stick with that. I know it doesn't work in very low light conditions, as in when there's no lights on, but the Face ID is actually really good. It's much faster, so I'll probably show you it right now. It is, I mean, you can probably just see it just works straight away. It's just really fast. It's much faster than the fingerprint sensor, so I'm just using Face ID. This one I have is running Android 12. It does say you can go to Android 13, but mine's on Android 12. I'm not really missing any features from the Google Pixel's Android 13, except the features that Google have put in on their own Android smartphones, such as the select using Google Lens from minimize applications and stuff like that. But it does have some other features which are very nice. So I've been using the Samsung One UI, and I think I have to say I do like it. I do find compared to the Pixel, it does have some unnecessary bits in there, but I guess they just welcome features which you don't really have to use. Now let's talk about the cameras. Most of the cameras on this are 12 megapixels. Most of the time you're going to be using 12 megapixels on this. Samsung has gone for a 64 megapixel camera and they're calling it hybrid optical zoom, which is basically just digitally cropping in, and I really don't think it's good. The 64 megapixel sensor inside this is very nice in that it does allow you to shoot really high resolution images, and the images do have really good detail. I do like the images, but I was hoping it would allow me to shoot raw images in 64 megapixels, which I can't find the option for, and so that's a little bit disappointing from my opinion. But other than that, the cameras are really good. The ultra wide is really good. You can shoot raw if you go into pro mode, but you will be limited to 12 megapixels, which is fine, but I would rather have a 64 megapixel raw image. Back there, it does also have a microphone, so it does have an option to actually use a shotgun microphone feature, which means if you zoom in, it will narrow the audio as well. So I haven't tested it, but that's really cool. As far as video goes, it does shoot 8K at 24 FPS and 4K at 60 FPS from the rear camera, which is very cool. And the front facing camera is 10 megapixels and it also has 4K at 60 FPS. So as far as cameras go, I really do like them. They're very good cameras from this phone. One of the things I love about this phone is the stereo speakers. It does have Dolby Atmos sound settings in the menus, which I recommend enabling, and the stereo speakers on this stereo setup is very nice. It gives you a really wide soundstage. Compared to the Pixel, it doesn't have enough bass in my opinion. Sounds more well balanced, but it can sound a bit more tinny compared to that. I do prefer the sound out of the Pixel, but this has a bigger, wider soundstage. The S20 Plus has a 4500 mAh battery, which is a bit small in my opinion, because the battery life on this phone is not very good in my opinion. I can get through a day of light usage, but I really like to play games sometimes, and for that it drains the battery quite quickly. You can't get through the day. You're gonna end up charging at the end of the day, so that's just not very nice. But it does have 25 watt fast charging and super fast charging as well, so you can charge it up pretty quickly. It gets to about 85% in under an hour, so that's really cool. It also on the back, it does have wireless charging, but you can also use this for reverse charging. So if you have Galaxy earbuds, you can put them at the back and they will start charging. It is rated at only 4.5 watts, so you're not going to be charging other for smartphones, and if you end up charging other smartphones, they'll be very slow charging. So let's talk about what I like about this phone. Number one, the display. I love the display on this. It's an absolute gorgeous display. The viewing angles are pretty much perfect. It looks like a very excellent display. Can't find anything bad about it. It is at 120 Hz, which is very nice. The second thing I love is the size. This is a very big phone, and I do like a really big phone. It makes it a lot easier to actually get an experience of a tablet. The other thing I like is the cameras. The 64 megapixel camera, while it doesn't allow me to shoot raw, I do like the image quality out of it, and in low light as well, the image quality from the Galaxy phones is actually very nice. Another thing I like is the price. I got this for £180, which is a very good price, and it looks brand new. I think there's still got some cellophane on it, which I've not really bothered to take off. Next up, what I love is the Face ID. It's very quick and it's very easy to use. And I also like the speakers. The stereo imaging is very nice. I wouldn't hesitate to watch movies on this. It would be very nice to watch. But I do prefer a bigger monitor, so stick with that. Now let's talk about the things I don't like. First off, I don't like the fingerprint sensor. I think it could use some improvement. It's just a bit slow and the accuracy is a bit annoying. You have to get it right to get it to work really well. When it does work well, but most of the time it's just going to be a pain in the... The other thing I don't like about this is the battery life. 1 day is just not good. It's actually a little bit shorter than 1 day, so they could definitely improve or put a bigger battery inside this. One of the other things I don't like, and this is I guess nitpicking, because if you do touch the display, you do have it showing the fingerprint sensor, but one of the things I don't like is that you can't see the fingerprint sensor at night time or when the display is off. So you're gonna have to have a guessing game of that. Although I don't really mind because it's just a minor drawback. So to conclude, for £200, this, to be honest with you, is an excellent phone. I think what you're mainly paying for is just the design, the display especially. It has really nice specs. and I mean it's all just in the display and the design. It's an amazing phone for that. It does have small drawbacks like the battery life, which is okay because you can charge it really quickly. And the fingerprint sensor could use improvements, but that's actually backed up by Face ID, so you can get away with it. It's actually very nice to use Face ID rather than the fingerprint sensor. Those are the only two drawbacks. I'm fine with the performance. I think I'll be keeping this as my main phone. I really love the display on it. It's an amazing phone. I just love it. It's very nice, and I don't mind the drawbacks because the display, it's very nice.